I'm Monica McGillicuddy. I'm the president of the New Hampshire Association of Realtors. And I want to thank you all, especially the Seacoast Board of Realtors, for putting this event on and giving me an opportunity to talk to you this morning about the New Hampshire real estate market. My talk is going to cover statewide statistics, so I'm going to really focus in on the picture, the whole picture for the entire state of New Hampshire. And so before I begin, I do think it's important to note that all real estate is local. And even in our state, there are several local markets, hundreds of local markets, and it can be the same as far as our counties are concerned. My market in Hampstead is different than the market in Portsmouth, and we're in the same county. So real estate is local. That's so important to remember. When we talk real estate, the questions that I often get from people is basically, when is the market going to turn? You know, when are the prices going to go up? When are we going to see a significant difference in the market? And I wish I had an answer. The short answer is that we really don't know exactly when that will happen. You know, we do know that when we've hit bottom, it's typically when we can look back at it and say, okay, that was the bottom. But to predict exactly when that'll happen, you know, it's an imperfect science, and we are certainly not in the business of trying to predict that. What we can tell you and show you and share with you today is some of the market stats that we have. So the slide that I'm going to bring up, hopefully you can all see it. I think it's important when you look at this that you take a look at the real estate market in chunks. And we can go back to when we started tracking in 1998, and we can take a look at what happened up until our peak years of 2005. If you look at 1998, you can see that our median sales price was $127,500. If you drop down to the year 2005, which was our peak years, you can see that we went up to $270,000. That was an astronomical 112% increase. Very difficult to sustain that type of an increase. Even though it was a 7-year window, we jumped significantly. And then if you take a look at the data that we have before you from 2005, if you drop down and you look at 2008, you can see that those years, we started to go down. Not very pretty. When we look at the drops that we had to 2008, we had a 13% statewide drop in median prices. And we had a 40% drop in units sold. Not a great time in the state of New Hampshire for real estate, particularly not a good time for our home sellers. So short term, if we take a look at the 2009, the very last row, and we look at last year, and we spent a lot of time looking at what happened last year, we started to see an increase, and that was a good thing, but you know, we took a look at 2009 and considered it to be a transitional type of year, where the market started to change, but we couldn't tell for sure exactly what was going to happen. So we went through the year and kind of held our breath at various points in time. The beginning of the year didn't start out very good, but we started to see an increase at the end of the year in units sold. And while it was only statewide 6.1%, it was still an increase. And you know, and the prices did not increase, did not yet follow suit. However, we were very happy that we had a momentum in the tail end of the year going forward with units sold. Take a look at the year 2009 and take a really close look at that. This chart will kind of explain to you what we saw happening in 2009. And we took it in the quarters. If you take a look at the red bar, which I'm sure you can all see, that is the bar that indicates our median price. If you look at the blue, that's units sold. So the first quarter of the year, you know, wasn't that great. We still had a decline. Units sold 5%. Median price 16.9. You know, it was still a tough quarter. Second quarter it got a little bit better, and only in the sense that the gap was closing. Units sold dropped a little less than the previous quarter, and it went that way right until we got into the fourth quarter. And if you're watching the bars, you can also see in the third quarter, we picked up on units sold. And a small increase, but an increase nonetheless. Prices were still, you know, the median price was still down. We look at the last quarter, and then we had a jump statewide. You know, all of a sudden units sold jumped up 29%. So that was a significant way to take a look at what happened in 2009 to the tail end of the year. Gave us a momentum. You know, a lot of us said, is this the tax credit? Is it the prices? Is it the interest rates? What's happening out there? But it gave us what we hoped was a sustainable momentum as we went into the year 2010. So if we take a look at this chart, and this is our, basically, I like to call this our good news chart. If we look at January 2010, and this is broken down so you can all see the county stats as well, but I'm going to mainly focus in on the statewide. The end of January, once the statistics came out and we were able to actually compile them and take a good look at them, we could see that we ended up January, compared to January of 2009, it's important that you understand what we're using. So January 2010 in comparison to January of 2009, when we did this, we could see that we were up in units sold statewide, 17%. And that was a significant increase for us. But more importantly, we were also up statewide in prices, 8%. And while I have to caution you, there is no way we can consider this to be a trend yet. Everything that we see, everything we're looking at out there right now is we're heading, hopefully, and we will continue to head in the right direction. So taking a look at that chart, I think, is really significant that you can see how the changes happen, of course, in for the month of January. I can tell you that the early peak, and I have to caution again, this is the early peak at February, is we believe we will see a second straight month of price increase. I don't know the exact figures yet, but that is the early peak. So that's good news for us. We can't. I like that. So we'll see, when the February numbers come out, I think that'll tell us an important figure. But, certainly the good news is there, and I do have to question you, we're not there yet, we can't call it a trend, but we're continuing in what is hopefully the right direction that we started in 2009 with our sales increasing. And when we look at having an actual price increase, this is the first time in 26 months that we can say that happened. And in fact, that's the best increase we've had in something like 52 months. So, if this keeps up, and even though it's not a trend, and I have to keep repeating that, if it keeps up, things will look a little bit better as we go into or finish out our first quarter. Where are we going from here? It's not an exact science for us, and it certainly isn't an easy formula. It's very complicated. When we look at the things that affect our market right now, the foreclosure numbers came out recently. They were a little bit up higher. The fact that the tax credit is due to expire sometime this spring, these things can affect the market. But I do believe with all the conditions that we have in play right now, the fact that the home prices are so affordable, interest rates are good, and for those folks that have good credit, the money is available, I do believe we can go into this with a sustainable momentum and continue with our housing market going into the road of recovery. It's slow. Absolutely. It's a slow recovery period, but it's in the right direction. So I think it's important that we know that we're starting to see increased consumer confidence, and that helps. It's all these positive conditions to the market obviously help, but I do believe that our role as realtors we have to continue to show ourselves to be our industry leaders, not only in terms of market knowledge and expertise, but in professional standards as well. And it's important to remember that we're not just salespeople, but we're community builders. And we're not just advocates for transactions, but we're advocates for our clients and our customers. And our job is to help them make the best buying or selling decisions, even if that decision means not to buy or sell right now. And it's critical for us as we go forward in 2010 that we continue to play that important role out there. Because yes, consumer confidence is building, and that helps us short term, but we need to make sure that the consumers have confidence in us as realtors, because that will help us long term. Thank you, and if you have any further questions, I will be here. If you need any information, please contact Dave Cummings. He is our Communication Director up at NHAR. Both of us will be here for the remainder of the program. Thank you very much.